Hey, Chem 1010 students, it is week 5, and you are watching this because you saw a link right here, which doesn't exist yet because I'm still recording this, or you saw it in our course content. So here we are on our homepage. Let's look at what's going on. One thing that I like, and I told you guys about this last week, is I did make in the Getting Started module a schedule in a more visually appealing format to me. This is the way I like it, so it might help you. We are beginning week 5 here with February 12th. I'm filming this on the 11th, so hopefully you're finishing up chapter 2, quizzes and homework, because that was due whenever you're watching this. There are some late options for this, but they cut off very quickly. But do let me know if you're running into an issue. Things are going to happen this semester. My job is to work with you as best as I can um, for the for the things that we can fix. So please let me know what's going on. But you've had all week to work on chapter 2. Hopefully you've got started on that and are wrapping that up. Several of you have started on the experiment. Here the week of the 12th, our experiment and reflection paper 2 are due on Thursday. This experiment requires quite a bit of work, and then you have to share the first part with your classmates and get some information from them before you can do the rest of it. So you need to get started on that early this week. You need to post your results this week. If you don't end up posting your data by the time that it's due, if you've just gone and grabbed other people's data and you haven't posted yours, you're going to lose some points. I am looking at your post on the discussion board with part of your data, the part 1, your data, for credit towards your lab report grade. So make sure that you're getting those up there in time for your classmates to use them. We do have our exam 1 due on the 18th. It is through Connect. It is through linking through our course content. We'll talk about that in a second. All right, so you have just finished up chapter 2. Now it's time to review. As you work on your lab report and your reflection paper for this week, you want to go back to chapter 1. You do not have to reread everything, but do go to the parts where you maybe struggled. Go ahead and follow the links on our, chapter 2, for example, the homework and quizzes. Follow one of these links over to the McGraw-Hill site and look back at your attempts for chapter 1, your attempts for chapter 2. The exam coming up at the end of this week is over chapters 1 and 2, and the questions are very similar to the questions you saw on your homework and your quizzes. So make sure you're going back and reviewing those. If you come into a problem, and here I can go to it, if you have a problem, like you may have even gotten, yours is going to look different than mine until I go into student view. If you have an issue with a question from one of those quizzes, hang on, do I have an attempt? Let me see how this works. All right, so I can go back to this homework. All right, I can view what maybe challenged me, that sort of thing. So play around with that. I can go back to attempts. I didn't make attempts on these as a student, so I can't see them. But I can go back to this assignment and see how I did. It looks like it's going to let me. So maybe I struggled with this question. It should show you how many points you got. I'm going to copy and paste this entire question, and I'm going to go back to our course, and I'm going to come up here to discussions, and I'm going to scroll down past our experiment discussion board. This is where you're posting your experiment results. And I'm going to go to this general. This is where you're going to post questions for me and your classmates, and I'll start a new thread and I'll paste. All right, that question here, that's a different question. Anyway, I'll paste the question that I'm looking at, and I'll type in, I had trouble, I'll spell it right, with the, and this one before, elements. And then post it. And this is from chapter 1. Quiz. The question numbers are a little bit scrambled, but this is chapter 1 quiz. This was the diagrams. Maybe I had trouble with the significant figures or the scientific notation, so I'll put scientific notation in the subject line. And then I'll post it, and then I'll wait for the results to come in. Let me see if I can grab that. It's not letting me copy and paste it. Maybe I'll take a screenshot. Yeah, I'll take a screenshot of that and then post it over here, with whatever it is. That's so that your classmates and I can help you throughout the week as we have time. So let me encourage you, as you're going back through your material, if you struggled with something, come to this discussion board page, scroll down to this. This is where you're posting if you have questions. Here's where we did our introduction. Here's where you're posting your experiment. It's the one in the middle, and post your questions. And I'll keep an eye on it, and then you keep an eye on it. See what questions your classmates are having, because it may be something that you're struggling with too. So that's what you're doing this week. You're going back and reviewing. This is the information about the first chapter exam. There are 40 questions. You have 75 minutes. It covers chapters 1 and 2. You want to review your previous homework assignments and quizzes to help you prepare. The rules are you get a page of prepared notes during the exam, but you also want to have your periodic table and your calculator handy. It is not proctored, but I will suggest that if you have to page through your textbook or scroll through it, as you do the exam, you're going to struggle with the timing. So make sure that you're prepared enough that that one condensed page of notes is what you need to help you. You can put practice questions on it. You can put concepts. But the types of questions you're going to see are the same as the types of questions you've been seeing on your homework and your quizzes. So that's how you're going to prepare. Let me come back here to chapter 2 because you're not finished probably with your reflection paper and your lab report. So make sure you're working on this. The reflection papers last week were good. You want to make sure that you focus on yourself. This should be something that you write from your personal experience. And that's how I know that's how you put your twist on it. So this may be different than the papers you're writing in other classes. But you get to choose which of these two topics, and you don't want to teach me about green chemistry. You don't want to teach me about indoor air quality in your paper, but you want to look at how one of these topics relates to your personal experience. You do want to look at outside references as you're preparing it. This is totally open-ended. It may be one of your outside references may be a website of somebody who is got a procedure that you think is helpful. And I'm grasping at straws here. I'm just trying to come up with stuff off the top of my head. It's totally open-ended. As you go down the rabbit hole of looking and thinking about how does this relate to me, you're going to look at some websites. And if you consider one of them to be particularly useful, tell me how in your paper you found it useful or what you found useful about it, and then reference it. Make sure that you're putting links in there so that I can follow it. All right. So this is your reflection paper that is due this week. This is your experiment. I'm here in chapter 2. You do need a box of Jiffy Corn Muffin Mix. Costs about 62 cents at Walmart. Make sure that you get that particular brand, and it's good stuff. So you want to keep it on hand anyway to make. This is real. This is the best. I like the corn. I like the Jiffy Corn Muffin Mix. I grew up on Jiffy Corn Muffin Mix. You also do need a metric ruler. You probably have something like this around the house. You do want to make sure that it has metric measurements because you'll be taking your measurements in centimeters. Take a look at the data that's already posted. As you're getting started, your numbers should be in the same ballpark as what are posted. If they're way different than what's posted, like 2 or 3 centimeters off, you're doing something wrong. So you want to look at it. If you need help, getting started with that. If you're not sure what you're doing, take a picture of how you're measuring, post it on that discussion board asking for help, and we'll jump in and help. All right. Once you do finish taking all your data measurements and posting them on the discussion board, getting your classmates' data, there are quite a few calculations. And I've tried to, I picked up this class for the first time this semester, which is why as I'm looking through this with you, I'm kind of looking through some of this stuff for the first time too. And so this is a report sheet for you to keep track of your data and your calculated values. It's not going to be graded. You're actually going to, once you fill out this data sheet, you're going to transfer it to the quiz page, and that's what I'm grading. Here is a previous instructor has filled this out to give you a little bit more guidance, and she made a video, so take a look at that. And then this is the actual quiz to complete the experiment, and it is data tables. You can open this up and get started on it whenever you want. It's not timed, but don't submit it until you're ready. But here's where you're going to type in your data, all right? And you're going to type in some data here and some data here and some data here. So it's a lot of typing numbers. And that's how you're going to fill out your lab report for me. All right. So that's what you're working on this week. You're preparing for the exam. You're doing your reflection paper. You're doing your lab report. Next week, as we go back to that schedule, and I'll tell you more about it at the beginning of next week. Oops, it's this one that we want. All right. As we begin week 6, we're working on chapter 3. Notice that there isn't an experiment due at the end of this week, but it is due early on Tuesday the following week. So when I give you your update for week 6, I'm going to suggest that you start working on that. And then your midterm, it comes right before spring break. This is spring break. And it covers chapters 1, 2, and 3. We'll have a week off for spring break. When we come back, we'll be working on chapter 4. Chapter 4 is a little long, so you've got a little bit longer to work on it. You've got your experiments. Now notice after spring break, the experiments do tend to double up. This is the schedule that we're given. So 4 and 5 will be due this week. 6 through 8 are all due on this day, so I'm going to suggest you start on it the week before. So keep your eye looking ahead as we're working on the material. All right, holler at me if you have any questions.